But now the guest I would like to introduce to the listening audience of WDEV is Annie Houston. She is the executive director of the Highland Center for the Arts, a new performing arts venue and other arts venue that just opened last year here in Greensboro. And people here in town are incredibly excited about this new addition to the community here. A lot of great acts are now coming into town. For instance, I was really had a great time a couple weeks ago hosting a couple members, actors with the Vermont Shakespeare Festival. I want to welcome Annie Houston to the show this morning. Thanks for joining us, Annie.
Thanks for having me.
And you told me an interesting story, a little story on the break, which was that you are originally from Craftsbury.
I am.
And then went to the big city of Boston for a while and worked for the arts agency, the state Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Never call them the state of Massachusetts.
Right.
And then back to this area here. You get to come home to Vermont for a job. This is I think an excellent story of something I think Governor Phil Scott would like to see happen, which is when young Vermonters do leave for jobs or for school or whatever, they come back to Vermont and help to keep our population up and just insert some of that youthful energy back into the good old state of Vermont. So Annie, tell me, you said you had been with the Highland Center for the Arts since January, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
So if anybody who moves to Greensboro or Craftsbury, Vermont in January just has to really love it here.
That's true, yeah.
That's the dead of winter, folks. I think most people around here know that, and it's probably not the top month of the year. I've never checked with the realtors to find out, but probably not the top month of the year for moving to Vermont. But
I think it was about 16 below zero on the day that I unloaded the truck, so it was a good re-entry process.
Yeah, excellent,
no
excellent.
Burning up at all. Everything was frozen solid.
Yeah, there you go. And Annie, tell me tell me a little bit about the Highland Center for the Arts. I have understood that a major benefactor really helped to get this off the ground. Is that right?
That's correct. But it took a number of committed individuals who were dedicated to this idea of creating a place where our friends and neighbors and visitors to the region can convene and build a sense of community around the arts and culture and find connections with one another, whether that be in our 250-seat main stage or the performance studio where we do movie screenings each week, in our cafe and restaurant. There's espresso in the morning and Bar Hill Gin and Hill Farmstead in the evening, sort of thing, along with some really fantastic meals. We have a lovely gallery that's filled with sun all day, every day. So we're really excited to have this here and to be able to create that cultural center for people to come to.
So you really have put the multidisciplinary, I guess.
That's right, yeah.
As you were saying on the break also. And Annie, how big is the staff there now? How many employees at the center? So
we've got about 12 full-time employees, and then between the restaurant and our tech teams and everybody else, it's about 38 people that are on a part-time basis.
Wow, and so again, that's a nice injection of new employment into a town which I understand is about 800 in population year-round, and
right, exactly,
grows to a couple thousand in the summer. And someone was telling me earlier that Greensboro does tend to be more a summer place than a winter place. People do come up for snowmobiling and cross-country skiing and
right.
things. But the summer with the lake here is what really draws folks here. Do you find that your own activities there at the Arts Center is it a bigger thing in the summer than in the winter?
Well, right now we certainly have stretched our calendar. So, for example, tonight we have First Thursdays in the cafe with local musician Dave Brzezinski. Tomorrow we have the Dave Keller Band coming in, wow, as well as a Hill Farmstead event. We've got an event in 2 weeks where Kaizuna Dance is coming to do a workshop. We've got our midweek movies. I mean, there's something going on all the time at the Highland Center for the Arts. And at this point, we are fully committed to a year-round programming. Everybody I know that I'm friends and neighbors with that lives here in Vermont is making hay while the sun shines, so everybody's too busy to really go to anything. So we're actually looking forward to the fall and winter and spring months when everybody's got a little bit more free time and they can go to a main stage show and see something that doesn't require driving to Burlington or Montreal or Boston to see a high-quality caliber show, and they can participate and do some things as well through our series of classes and activities too.
Do you find that you are drawing people from away, or most of the people who are coming to your shows from the Kingdom or from northern Vermont, let's say?
It's a healthy mix, and I think that as we continue to sort of build our audience and reach out to people, that it'll continue to be that way. I think the seasonality certainly comes into play. We have a lot of people from out of town that are coming through our doors currently, but we also, this spring we had Taryn Noel was playing with Joe Davidian, and there was a great local support audience that came out for that. And also for our benefit concerts, Roy McNeil and friends performed to benefit the Lamoille Area Cancer Network back in February, and a lot of folks came from just up the road.
And one of the things I've always found about the art scene in Vermont is how accessible it feels. I think obviously ticket prices are lower here than they are in Boston or New York.
Yes.
And I've spent a lot of time in the Boston area in my own life, and you were down there for how long? How many years?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Wow. And so tell me a little bit about that difference in the sense of accessibility of these artistic events in Vermont versus down in the big city.
Sure. I mean, one of the things that we do is we have multiple ways that people can engage with the center. So they can come to, Summer Music from Greensboro had a free concert a couple of weeks ago with Bob Amos and Catamount Crossing. We also have, our first Thursdays in the cafe is a free event. Anybody who's an EBT card holder can come to any one of our main stage shows for just $5, and they can buy tickets up to a family of 4.
Wow.
And we really do want to keep our price points reasonable and accessible so that people can benefit and enjoy what the region has to offer and see something they wouldn't necessarily see in the region without driving a farther distance, but also helping to meet our bottom line. And we take that into consideration with the types of programming that we offer, the shows. We had Blackwater Trio playing in our gallery as a free show on Tuesday night, and anybody who ushers for us, I'll put in a plug for ushering volunteers to our listening audience, that anybody who ushers does get to see the show for free. So we're always looking for people to help out in that respect too.
When we talk about Greensboro, we talk about really growing enterprises around here. Pete's Greens is growing in more ways than one. Jasper Hill Cheese and the Hill Farmstead, Circus Smirkus obviously is a major local institution here, and I sort of wonder your sense of connectedness, or is there an organic nature to your art center's connection with these other entities in town here?
Oh, absolutely. There's an incredible synergy going on between all of these businesses, and I was at the Center for an Agricultural Economy benefit last night and saw the Jasper Hill folks, and there's right now one of the ways that we've easily been able to collaborate is by having a lot of local food makers from the Northeast Kingdom featured on our menu in the cafe, and we really pride ourselves on having that and being able to ride on the coattails of the energy that has been put into these businesses beforehand, before Highland Center for the Arts opened. But we also are a venue for these places. Hill Farmstead is having an event at HCA tomorrow night for their, it's like their bottle club basically, but it's a special invitation-only ticketed event that's going on. Jasper Hill is having a cheese symposium on August 11th for cheesemakers and to celebrate their anniversary. So there's not just the transactional exchange, but ways that we're able to really connect and offer programming. And it's my hope that as we get down the road, we'll be able to continue exploring these avenues of the culinary arts, and how HCA and the places like Pete's Greens and Jasper Hill and Hill Farmstead can really elevate that whole idea right here in the Kingdom.
That is really it just sounds like a wonderful approach to kind of joint community development here.
Absolutely.
And I'm really intrigued and pleased to hear you talk about that kind of thing, because obviously, the theme of this summer-long series on WDEV, Small Towns, Big Development, is exactly to talk to folks about the different methods by which we can encourage economic development in small towns in Vermont, and while at the same time preserving the historic character, the rural character of many of our communities, but finding those synergistic relationships that you talk about. It's having Jasper Hill Cheese at the Arts Center, having Hill Farmstead at the Arts Center, just seemed to me to be the kinds of things that we're seeing in some other places, but I think it's actually going to be a growing trend to see people really looking, instead of just building giant institutions that are kind of in their own silos,
right,
they're going to be doing a lot more joint efforts coming up, and I think that is that's very encouraging. It's got to be encouraging to a lot of Vermonters who want to see the state continue to make progress economically, make sure that there are jobs here, and make sure that we're attracting people here, and including people who've moved away to the big city and come back like yourself, and so that's a terrific thing. And tell me what you see as the biggest challenges coming for somebody who's running an arts center in Greensboro, Vermont.
Oh boy, the biggest challenges would be not having enough time to put all the great stuff in our programming schedule that we would like to do.
Yeah,
that's right now, trying to remind everybody that we're not going to pack up and roll away on a truck in the next 2 years. That we are here and committed to the kingdom and are in it for the long game. And I think from an economic standpoint, it's just it's not so much a challenge as it is an opportunity, finding that balance between what our programming looks like in the months where it really is just a more locally based population, and then what it looks like in the summer when there are a lot of people here, but there's also a lot more going on, and what does that look like?
All right, well, Annie Houston of the Highland Center for the Arts, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and joining the program this morning. Really wonderful to meet you, and good luck with everything. It sounds like you've got a lot on your plate.
Thanks for having me.
And just get at it. It's going to be an exciting time for you, I can tell.
Yeah.